Backlash 2000. This review was recommended by a couple of you guys in the comments section. You want to see me review Backlash 2000? Personally, I'd never watched this show myself, so this is the first time I've seen it. This is my first reaction and review for the show. Personally, I loved it. I can see why it's such a popular pay-per-view amongst the wrestling fandom. It was just such a great show. That main event was amazing. I loved it. How they incorporated all the interferences and stuff, but it still felt epic. The storyline was amazing. Would Stone Cold be there? Would he not? If he gets there, what would Austin do? Who would Austin take out? That whole thing was amazing. So you had Austin in that Rock Triple H main event for the WWF Championship. Along with that, Jericho Benoit for the IC title. The ending sucked, but the match itself was really fun for the 15 minutes it got. The tag team opener was really good. I enjoyed that. And just a bunch of the stuff throughout the night. Like this show only went for 2 hours and 5 minutes, but it incorporated everything. There was never a dull moment. There was never a time where I'm watching this show thinking, it's kind of dull. I want to turn this off. Like nowadays when you're watching pay-per-views, you just find yourself thinking, ugh, I don't really care. But this show, it was never a dull moment. It was balls to the wall from the get-go. And I have to say this, the crowd in Washington, D.C. for this show was absolutely electric. They were on fire from the jump, and that ran throughout the night. Like, especially the opener and the main event, the crowd was just on fire. The middle, they were pretty good as well. Just, overall, this show was awesome. Much better than WrestleMania 2000. WrestleMania 2000 was such a disappointment. I'll review that show next year in the build to WrestleMania, but, oh my god, it was just, what even was WrestleMania 2000? It was a bunch of, multi-man and stipulation matches, and then what? Backlash 2000, Judgment Day 2000, Fully Loaded 2000, all had to carry the pay-per-views from then on. Granted, at this time period, WWF 2000, they had no competition because WCW 2000 were producing shows like Great American Bash, where, what's his name again? David Arquette was winning the championship, so they had no competition at the time. The WWF were absolutely on fire, they were killing it. This show was amazing. I loved it. Shout out to the people who recommended this show. As for the rest of the Backlash reviews, so I've done 2018. I hated reviewing that show, but you guys got entertainment out of it. Backlash 2000 I'm doing today. I think I'm going to do Backlash 2016, just to talk about SmackDown 2016. Maybe Backlash 02, and maybe 04. So those are the Backlash reviews to expect. As for Money in the Bank reviews, I'm going to do 2011, maybe 2013, 2017, and then 2019. So that's what to expect from the reviews going forward. Without further ado, let's get into this review. So this show, as I said, came to you from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. JR and Lawler on commentary. The crowd, as I said, was just amazing. Throughout the night, they were gassed, and they made this show even better than it already was. So yeah, for most of the card, there was a loaded card for this show. It was a great card, and the fact that Stone Cold Steve Austin was set to return, that added the extra element of intrigue throughout the night, so that was really good. Anyway, we opened with the Tag Team Championship match. Edge and Christian defending against DX, Road Dogg and X-Pac with Tori. Deborah was for some reason the special guest ring announcer for this match. I don't know why. She made her entrance and Jerry Lawler was just losing it. He was like, "Oh puppies!" Whenever Lawler does that, it's just classic Lawler, really. Anyway, DX came out. Road Dogg did his usual little bit with the DX catchphrases, mentioning doggy style. He's all excited. From here, the tag team champions came out through the crowd. We got underway. Edge and X-Pac, they were going at it early. I'm thinking to myself, if Edge and X-Pac had singles matches, it looked like they had good in-ring chemistry for this little bit they had. Anyway, Edge and Christian hit a tag team move on Road Dogg. Then DX would proceed to work together and work over Christian for much of the match, stopping Edge from getting the hot tag a couple of times. X-Pac did a Bronco Buster to Christian. I hate the Bronco Buster. It's just a ridiculous looking move. He's just bouncing his nuts in the guy's face in the corner. It looks disgusting. But anyway, from here, Edge hit an illegal diving headbutt onto Road Dogg, which JR called a Chris Benoit diving headbutt. So it's interesting here. The diving headbutt is Benoit's move. It's just associated with Benoit every time it happens. So from here, Christian hit a double reverse DDT on DX. Then Edge got the hot tag. The match then broke down to chaos. Edge, Road Dogg, X-Pac, Christian, they're all flying around. X-Pac accidentally knocks Tori off the apron. Then Road Dogg took out Christian at ringside. From here, X-Pac hit a facebuster to Edge. Then Christian, because the referee was distracted, Christian clocked X-Pac with a ring bell. And then from here, he pinned X-Pac 1, 2, 3 as Edge held back Road Dogg. So Really fun tag team opener here. I gave it 3.25 stars, 9.22. Edge and Christian retain the tag titles. So from here, we go from the tag team opener to The Rock. So we get The Rock arriving in a limo, which I love how they used to do this. This is something that, once again, I've talked about this in my older reviews, but they never do this anymore. Why? Why do they not have limousines, cars, whatever you want to have arriving in the arena, and then like a main eventer gets out and then the crowd erupts? Like, it's awesome. So The Rock arrived here. The crowd goes ballistic. From here, we go to our second match of the night. Singles match for the Light Heavyweight Championship. Dean Malenko defends against Scotty 2 Hotty. So this one, I mean, WWF's equivalent of the Cruiserweight title was the Light Heavyweight title. Fine. The match itself was damn good. It was a really good supplementary piece for the opener. So Dean Malenko, like, he's always someone who intrigued me because he's one of these exceptional workers, but as far as like an entertainer and someone who cuts promos and has a character, he just didn't cut it. But I mean, in the ring, he was awesome. Scotty 2 Hotty, he was entertaining. I like Scotty 2 Hotty. So anyway, Scotty 2 Hotty wrestled the first minute of this match wearing his orange bucket hat, which had the top cut off it. Just amazing fashion sense. Anyway, as for the action, Scotty sideslammed Malenko before moonwalking and getting punched. Then Malenko took over the match. He worked over Scotty's left leg really well. Like, that was a story in this match. The match only went like 13 minutes, but Dean Malenko really picked apart Scotty 2 Hotty's left leg. So he did knee drops on it, he kicked it, he punched it, he slammed it into the ring post over and over, he grapevined around it, and then, wrenched away. He even applied this submission where he grabs the ankle and, tweaks it, wrenches away in it inwards, which forces the pressure onto the left knee. So Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds, just working away on Scotty 2 Hotty. From here, the second half of the match, Malenko tackles Scotty 2 Hotty through the ropes and out to ringside. Then Scotty tosses Malenko back into the ring. Scotty goes up top, which is terrible in-ring psychology when he has a bad knee. But anyway, from here, Malenko would then superplex Scotty back into the ring. Scotty then hit a bulldog and hyped up the crowd big time. Then Scotty 2 Hotty did the worm. From here, Malenko cheated on the pinning combination, but got caught by the referee. So he put 2 feet on the ropes, but the ref caught him. From here, Scotty 2 Hotty kicked out of a Malenko powerbomb. Then Malenko countered a superplex attempt into an avalanche DDT for the 1-2-3. So Dean Malenko retains the Light Heavyweight Championship. Really fun little undercard match. Gave this 4 stars, 12.57. Dean Malenko retains the title. Really good stuff. From here, we go backstage again. The corporation, or the McMahon-Helmsley regime, that stable, they're talking about how tonight's all hands on deck, making sure they have to do whatever they can so The Rock doesn't win the title. That was good. From here, we go to the most redundant match of the night. Tag team match, the APA, so Farouk and Bradshaw, versus Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan. So, a nothing match here. It's the kind of match which you get on a pay-per-view in 1999, not 2000. 2000 was better for match quality. Just watching this match, Bull Buchanan and the Boss Man beat up Farouk for like 5 minutes. Anyway, one thing I will note, watching Big Boss Man matches, I can't get the image of him getting hung from WrestleMania 15 out of my head. It's a horrible image, but I guess that's what happens when you do that at WrestleMania 15. Anyway, Bradshaw, he got the hot tag. He hit a massive diving shoulder block to the Boss Man. From here, Bradshaw hit a clothesline from hell on Buchanan. Then the nightstick got involved. Boss Man hit Bradshaw with the nightstick. And then we got Bull Buchanan hitting a top rope scissors kick to Bradshaw. 1-2-3. Boss Man and Buchanan win. 1.5 stars, 7.32. Moving on. From here, we go backstage. The Hardy Boys are talking to one another. Matt Hardy, his promo work, or his acting work is really good here. Jeff Hardy sounded pretty unnatural, which that was always the thing, the Hardy Boys. Matt was the better entertainer as far as the pro wrestling package, but Jeff was just the better spot monkey, I guess, and he entertained the fans more. Anyway, they're talking about the Hardcore Championship match coming up. Then we see the Hollies, Hardcore and Crash. They're having the same conversation, only their conversation leads to Hardcore slapping Crash. So that's what we got there. From here, we got the 6-man Hardcore match for the WWF Hardcore Championship. Crash Holly defending against Hardcore Holly, Taz, Perry Saturn, Jeff Hardy, and Matt Hardy. So, my God, I know I said this in my WrestleMania 17 review, but I'll say it again here. Compare the importance of the Hardcore title in 2001 to the 24/7 title nowadays. It's light years apart. Like here, you've got Taz, the Hardys, the Hollies, all involved in this match. Even, hell, Perry Saturn. Whereas nowadays, it's R-Truth, D-list celebrities, ex-athletes, Zack Ryder, the rest of the catering jobbers. It's light years apart. It shows you how much different these titles felt. Like WrestleMania 17, Big Show and Kane two dominant monsters who'd been main eventers the whole Attitude Era were in the hardcore title because the card was that stacked. Here, I mean, it's granted, the Hardy Boys, Holly, Crash Holly, Hardcore Holly, like all these people. It's just crazy to see. Anyway, early on we got Matt Hardy climbing up the Backlash superstructure, which that's another thing. The set for this show was really cool. It was this super cool set, but it was like these hook-shaped metal beams. There were like 6 of them, 3 on each side, so they were really cool. From here, so yeah, Matt was 20 feet up in the air. He dove on the other 5 guys. Then we got Jeff Hardy swinging off one of them and hitting a Hurricane Run on Hardcore Holly in the aisleway. That was cool. From here, all the guys got back in the ring and resumed fighting. They all then went to ringside. Everyone just covering each other, which this was redundant. Like someone would cover something, like one of the guys who's on the floor, and then the referee would start counting, and then a guy would be like a meter away and just, like 2 feet away and just kick the cover to break it up. But redundant, but regardless. So of the weapons, we got a 2x4 wooden plank, a cable, a steel chair, a baking tray, and more. From here, we had Taz choking Jeff Hardy with the cable. Meanwhile, Hardcore suplex Bob Holly. Then the Hardy Boys brought a ladder into the ring. Matt hit a twist of fate on Bob Holly. Then Jeff Hardy hit a swanton bomb off the top of the ladder onto Bob Holly. Meanwhile, JR said on commentary, Jeff Hardy is a young Shawn Michaels, which I found really interesting. So from here, the Hardys began fighting with one another. Taz locked in a Taz mission on Bob Holly. Then Perry Saturn came in. And in the end, Bob Holly somehow got a pinfall to retain the title. So 3.5 stars, 12 minutes 16. Crash Holly retains the Hardcore title. From here, we go backstage again. Jonathan Coachman interviewing Shane McMahon. This was like 5 seconds of the interview. The first 5 seconds, you couldn't hear Jonathan Coachman. But anyway, Coach asks if Shane will be impartial. Shane says that he's going to keep the good faith that his father put in him to do the right thing. Yeah, sure. From here, we go to the singles match. Kurt Angle versus the Showster. Big Show. Taking on Kurt Angle. Like, this whole thing, the storyline I found genius. Kurt Angle, he lost both of his championships at WrestleMania 2000. He became obsessed with winning gold. That was his whole gimmick. He was the Olympic gold medalist. He needed gold. So he begged Triple H and Shane for another championship opportunity. They gave him a tag team championship opportunity. Kurt Angle teaming with the Big Show. And they had a tag title match. Big Show came out dressed as a parody of a Scotsman, wearing a kilt. It was ridiculous. Big Show wasn't taking the match seriously. Kurt Angle got annoyed. He slapped Big Show. So Big Show snapped. From here, before this match, skipping to Backlash now, Angle cut this, Angle's heel promos are hilarious. Because, the way he played his character in this time period was awesome. He's cutting this heel promo about the crowd and the president. So anyway, Big Show came out dressed as the Showster, just a parody of Hulk Hogan, which that got, loud cheers in the crowd. Commentary, JR and Lawler love this. From here, the match itself saw Big Show hit all of Hogan's moves out of the gate. Angle kicked out the leg drop. From here, Angle did some Angle moves, working over Big Show's leg. Then he slapped Big Show. Big Show got pissed. He ripped off the Showster gear before chokeslamming Angle and pinning him. So that was all good. I gave this 2.5 stars, 2 minutes 35. Big Show beats Kurt Angle. If this happened nowadays, the IWC would just cry out, "He buried him! He buried him, man!" How times change. So anyway, we go backstage. Michael Cole interviewing Trish Stratus. She talks about riling up men and then bringing men home and watching them explode. Just great sexual references in the World Wrestling Federation here. Then we see Bubba Ray Dudley watching this interview on a screen. He's salivating. Devon tells him to get serious. And, Bubba Ray's insulting Trish. Pretty much this whole storyline, the Dudley boys, Bubba Ray and Devon versus Tess and Albert, TNA with Trish. This whole storyline was laughable, in a good way. I love this storyline. It's just funny. This is WWF 2000. This is the Attitude Era. It's mid-card storylines. They might not be the most important, meaningful storylines, but they're fun. They're entertaining. They're engaging. This whole thing was Bubba Ray Dudley. He was a face, and his gimmick was that he was obsessed with powerbombing women off the top rope through tables. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? But that's what they did. He did this to Tori, I think Moolah, I know he did the leader. His obsession was doing it to Trish. So for weeks, they had Trish seductively playing on a table saying that she loves wood, and then Trish would avoid getting put through a table twice by making out with Bubba Ray Dudley. This whole thing was great. Hilarious mid-card storyline. So much better than anything they do nowadays. Just captivating. So the match itself, it went 11 minutes. No one really cared about the match itself with Bubba Ray, Devon, Tess, and Albert. It was more so about the Trish stuff. So anyway, that sufficed for the average match. Bubba's interactions with Trish were awesome. Pretty much, he called her the B word. He shouted that at her. That was hilarious. But yeah, the match itself, nothing notable. Devon got worn down for most of the match. Eventually, Bubba got a hot tag. Tess kicked out of a 3D. In the end, Tess and Albert would get the win. And then the most notable thing, post-match, we get Trish Stratus coming into the ring. Bubba Ray, he looks all incensed. From here, Trish tries to kiss Bubba Ray to get out of this situation at the table again, but Bubba Ray isn't having it. She kissed him, she thinks she's safe, then he grabs her hair again, and then Devon gets the table out, he sets it up. From here, Bubba Ray goes to the top rope with Trish, powerbombs Trish through the table. So Bubba Ray puts Trish through the table, he achieves his objective, despite the fact that the Dudleys lose the match, and despite the fact that this is domestic violence to the utmost extent. It was hilarious given the time period. It was a great storyline. It really worked. So yeah, I gave this 3 stars. We get Trish getting carted out by EMTs. She's carted out in a stretcher, loaded into an ambulance. They really play this off for 10 minutes. So really fun stuff here. 11 minutes 07. Tess and Albert get the win. So from there, we go to the singles match of the European Championship. Eddie Guerrero defending his title against Esther Rios. The whole thing for this was that China was Eddie Guerrero's prom date, and then Lita was with Esther Rios for some reason. So anyway, the match itself, it was pretty funny to watch back. Basically, the whole story with this, China screwed Chris Jericho out of the European Championship because China wanted some Latino heat with Eddie. So from here, we got weeks of China and Eddie doing segments where they were the perfect prom couple, and they were hanging out together, and it was just hilarious stuff. Eddie Guerrero and China, just hilarious. So Eddie, here he defends against this jobber named Esther Rios. Was this his only pay-per-view match? I can't recall Esther Rios ever appearing on another pay-per-view. It's not a name that you really recognize, Esther Rios. So anyway, early on in the match, we get Rios, going for an outside dive, but Eddie sidesteps, and Rios' face goes face first into the floor. Not the first time we saw that during the night. So from here, JR and Lawler on commentary spend most of the match talking about Lita and China and their involvement alongside Stone Cold Steve Austin's incoming return. Anyway, this match just kind of happened. The first half of it was and then we got Rios hitting a sick SIE moonsault to Eddie Guerrero onto the announce table. That looked awesome. From here, we got another big dive done from Esther Rios to Eddie at ringside. Then Eddie superplexed Rios. Rios would then attempt a moonsault moments later to no avail. Then he did an aeroplane spin into a neckbreaker for the pinfall victory to retain the European Championship. So Eddie beats Esther Rios as you'd expect. Afterwards, Esther Rios got annoyed. He dropkicks Eddie into China. So China, who was wearing this red dress, ran into Eddie. Then the red dress came off. She took it off. She was wearing blue bra and panties, and then Eddie Guerrero was losing it. He's going crazy. So that was hilarious. A heap of fun here. 3.25 stars. I gave this. This is 3.25 stars. 8 minutes 37. Eddie Guerrero retains the European Championship. From here, we go backstage again. Jonathan Coachman interviews Triple H. So this whole thing, Coachman backstage interviewing the McMahon Helmsley faction, just great entertainment. This time, it wasn't as engaging. Basically, Triple H is sitting there with the championship on one shoulder. Stephanie's there with the women's title. Why Stephanie had the women's title, I'll never know. But then again, that belt meant nothing, so it doesn't matter. Triple H is just talking about how, he's the game and how he'll beat The Rock. And he's really laser focused on this match. But at the same time, he's very calm. So really good stuff here. Triple H is interviewed. Then Jonathan Coachman turns around and interviews Vince. He asks about what's happening to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Is Austin coming? And Vince is like, well, what does Vince say again? Let me get my notes up here. Vince says about Stone Cold Steve Austin that, he alludes to JR earlier, saying that Austin will be usually the first one here, and Austin's so punctual, so this is odd for Austin not to be here. But Vince says that the corporation won't let, the McMahon Helmsley faction won't let Austin ruin the party because Austin hasn't made it tonight. So from here we go backstage again, staying backstage. Michael Cole interviews the Intercontinental Champion Chris Benoit. Benoit reminds everyone that the Crippler is the champion and Jericho is not. From here, Benoit says that he has emotions. Yeah, that didn't age well. Yeah, he didn't have emotions at one stage. Anyway, I'm going to move on. From here, it was an alright interview. Benoit talking to Michael Cole. Then we go to the singles match, the IC title. Chris Benoit defending against Chris Jericho. My God, the IC title meant a lot when these two guys fought over it. Genuinely, Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho put on some absolutely amazing matches in this time period. Like their match here, the submission match at Judgment Day, the brutal ladder match of the 01 Rumble. It was just amazing. So this came about, the whole story was that they had the triple threat match at WrestleMania involving Kurt Angle for both the European and IC title. It was one fall for each title. Benoit won the IC title, as mentioned earlier. Chris Jericho lost the European title to Eddie because of China. So from here, we had this match, Benoit, Jericho, IC title. Early on, Benoit went for a suicide dive, but Jericho moved out of the way, and Benoit landed face first on the floor. Same thing happened to Esther Rios earlier in the night. This looked brutal. Benoit landing face first, head first on the floor. That can't have done anything for his brain. From here, we got Jericho running, from one part of the ringside area towards Benoit. Then Benoit drop kicks and steel steps into Jericho's leg. Jericho goes flying, sells it really well. From here, they get back into the ring. Benoit in control of the match primarily. Benoit delivered a superplex to Jericho. Then he lay out Jericho's stomach first on the top rope. From here, Benoit locked in an abdominal stretch. Jericho broke it. Both guys then ran the ropes. They did this big diving double clothesline move, and they both got laid out. So they're laid out in the center of the ring. From here, Jericho kicked away on Benoit. Jericho delivers a big bulldog to Benoit. Jericho then missed a springboard dropkick to Benoit on the apron. Then we got a couple of near falls exchanged back and forth. Benoit locks in the crippler crossface and Chris Jericho. Then we got Jericho locking the walls of Jericho and Benoit. From here, the referee got knocked down. Benoit then nailed a belt shot to Jericho's face for a near fall. From here, Benoit goes up to the top rope, hits a diving headbutt onto the title belt. Then the referee, Tim White, calls for a DQ. So this was dodgy. The whole thing with the referee getting knocked down, Benoit using the belt on Jericho, and then Benoit hitting a diving headbutt and missing, landing headfirst on the belt. Then referee Tim White gets up and calls a DQ because Jericho knocked down the referee, even though Benoit was the heel. It was a mess. This whole thing, the ending was a mess, but the match itself was really entertaining. 4 stars I gave this, 15 minutes and 9 seconds. Chris Benoit retains the Intercontinental Championship by disqualification. This was a pretty weird match. Benoit and Jericho had amazing matches. This was just weird. So, from there, a couple of deep breaths now. We go to the main event. Oh, so much to talk about here. Singles match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Shane McMahon is the special guest referee. Triple H with Mr. McMahon and Stephanie McMahon Helmsley defending against The Rock, who would have Stone Cold Steve Austin in his corner. What a fantastic main event to a pay-per-view. This Rock vs. Triple H match in the main event of a non-Big Four pay-per-view, it summed up WWF in 2000, the star power they had, just wow. The anticipation of Stone Cold Steve Austin showing up. Would he appear? If so, whose side would he be on? When would he appear? How would he appear? How big would the pop be? Just an amazing bit of sports entertainment, amazing bit of pro wrestling, just so good. So, Triple H's music hit. Shane came out first, then we got Triple H's music hit. So Triple H came out first looking laser focused. Granted, this is one really random side note, doesn't really matter, but his fake tan looked horrendous. The back of his neck looked orange, but anyway, from here, we get Mr. McMahon grabbing a microphone. He has the program in his hand, which the program is just a giant picture of Jericho's face. Anyway, McMahon has the program in hand, and he says that if you look closely at the fine print, it says, card subject to change, and therefore, Stone Cold Steve Austin will not be here tonight. So, from here, JR is immediately questioning this. JR during this match was on fire. This is some of JR's best work. He's just shouting, how would he know that? How would he know that? By God! I can't do the JR voice flawlessly, but you just picture JR. He's just shouting, how would he know that? From here, Rocky chants begin loudly. The Rock's music hits. The crowd erupts in Washington. This crowd just went nuts for The Rock. So, from here, we got The Rock coming down. Electric reaction. Rock poses on the top rope, which this was just an awesome moment. So The Rock does his top rope pose. Triple H is in the middle of the ring, death staring The Rock. The Rock then turns his head the way The Rock does, like a swift head turn. And so we get The Rock and Triple H staring each other in the eyes. The intensity was just awesome. It was just typical. It was just classic pro wrestling. It was beautiful. So from here the bell went and we got underway. Immediately JR shouted, because Lawler was being so pro McMahon. And then JR was like, King, you might as well get up and kiss Vince McMahon's ass. It was just awesome. JR and Lawler were priceless together. From here, we get We Want Stone Cold chants immediately, ringing around the arena. As for the in-ring action, Rock got sent out to ringside early. He crashed spine first in the announce table. Then Triple H dropped Rock face first on the announce table. From here, Vince would slam Rock's face first in the ring post. And then Triple H proceeds to hug referee Shane McMahon. So the odds against The Rock, all the odds are against him. JR's losing it on commentary, making this so much more entertaining. It's like, how's that fair? How's that fair? Just awesome. Jim Ross, the whole storyline, awesome. From here, Triple H then applied a few rest holds on The Rock, really wearing him down. Then he'd break and get a clothesline down on The Rock for 2. Rock would deliver some big strikes. Then both guys would take each other down with a big double clothesline spot. From here, Shane only counted Rock. So both guys are down, Rock and Triple H, but Shane's only counting The Rock because he's a biased referee. From here, Vince then clocked The Rock in the head with the WWF Championship belt. All the odds against The Rock storyline, it works so well. As I said, Jim Ross on commentary. Could you imagine if Michael Cole or Corey Graves on commentary nowadays? They can't recreate stuff like this. So anyway, then to ringside, Rock clothesline down Triple H. In the ring, Rock DDT Triple H, but Shane refused to count. From here, Rock punches the referee Shane McMahon out to ringside. Triple H was then selling his left shoulder. This, the pissed off JR shouts, "Oh, this is pathetic. This is just pathetic. The referee helped the game. The referee helped the game move the gosh damn monitor." Like, Jim Ross is just shouting. From here, Triple H and The Rock, they're on the Spanish announce table. Then The Rock low blows Triple H. Rock then lines up a rock bottom on Triple H, but Shane got out of the way to stop it. From here, we got Rock kicking Shane. Then he had an amazing double rock bottom to both Triple H and Shane to a Spanish announce table. From here, Vince and Stephanie's facial expressions were priceless. Rock with the double rock bottom to Triple H and Shane. McMahon, Vince and Stephanie, they're just shocked. From here, we go back in the ring. Vince gets on, into the ring, hits The Rock from behind, and then Rock proceeds to, turn around. He has this, intense look in his face. Rock proceeds to start beating up Vince. Then Triple H low blows The Rock before hitting him with a pedigree. Then Vince is desperately waving for a referee because Shane got taken out. From here, we get Patterson and Briscoe running back down. So the crowd's just booing because the Stooges have come out. Because the odds get any, more out of favor for The Rock. From here, the Austin chants, ringing around the arena. The Stooges are punching away on The Rock. From here, the Stooges and Triple H hold up The Rock. Vince clocks The Rock in the head with a steel chair. Still, there's no Steve Austin. The crowd genuinely believed that at this point Austin wasn't coming. So the crowd believes he's not coming, and then glass shatters. Stone Cold Steve Austin's music hits to an unworldly pop. The pop in Washington was insane. Austin comes down with a steel chair. He clobbers Triple H, clobbers Patterson, clobbers Briscoe, hits Shane, hits Vince, takes them all out. From here, Austin talked trash to Vince. Then Triple H came back into the fold. Austin nailed Triple H with a stunner. Then we have Linda McMahon coming down with Earl Hebner. More outside interference, more people getting involved, more incredible storytelling. Stephanie McMahon then rushes in front of Linda and is screaming, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Then Linda pushes down her own daughter. Stephanie just collapses to the ground. Then Triple H tries to clock The Rock in the head with a steel chair in the ring. The Rock hits him with a spine buster, people's elbow. Then he's covering him. He's covering him. Eventually, Earl Hebner gets in the ring. 1, 2, 3. The Rock wins the WWF Championship. The crowd goes nuts in Washington. An incredible moment. Jim Ross and commentary made this awesome. If this was Michael Cole, this would have been ruined. Jim Ross and Lawler did an incredible job here. The pop was awesome. Austin's involvement was done perfectly. What a title win. The Rock, his music's playing. He's holding the title, having his great moment. Then we get Stone Cold Steve Austin's music hitting again. This time, Austin comes driving out in his ute, towing the destroyed DX Express. So Austin, he toasts the beer with The Rock, and then Austin and Rock are having beers to end the show. I gave this 4.5 stars, 19 minutes 23. Just an awesome match. I love this match so much. Rock wins the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Overall, Backlash 2000. Shout out to the people who recommended I do this review. So much fun. Rock vs Triple H was done so well. The way they had The Rock being worn down for 15 minutes. And then the whole thing where Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, Triple H, Stephanie, everyone, they're all conspiring to make sure that The Rock didn't win the WWF Championship. And it literally felt like Jim Ross was, the advocate for The Rock, and then it was just, that was it. So, from here, Austin had his big, return. That was amazing. The way they hyped that up, the way they executed it was awesome. The way, it felt so special. Rock won the title. Awesome moment. So, that was a phenomenal main event. The rest of the show, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit had a really good IC title match. If that match got maybe 5 more minutes and the finish wasn't that bad, this show would have been just an extra echelon of special. This right away was one of the best WWF or WWE pay-per-views that weren't WrestleMania. This is a top-tier pay-per-view. I can see why. I gave this show an A. Just an awesome show. I think my match of the night was Rock vs Triple H. Just everything that encompassed it. Benoit Jericho was a close second. I also really enjoyed the tag team title match. I really enjoyed the hardcore title match. I really enjoyed the Dudley Boys versus Tess and Albert. Just for the storyline. It was so outlandish. It was funny. I thought, Eddie Guerrero versus Esther Rios was a fun match. Big Show Kurt Angle was fun. It was 2 minutes. It was a joke. This whole show, it was a heap of fun. I really enjoyed it. So shout out to the people who recommended I review this show. So as I said at the beginning of the video, going forward, Backlash 2016 is the next Backlash review to expect. Then probably Backlash 2001, 2002. And outside of that, that's probably the end of the Backlash review. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, sub, Turn the notification bell on if you want. It'd be awesome if you did. So yeah, without further ado, like, comment, sub. You guys know the drill. See ya. God, this show was good.